Welcome to probably the best 50-foot sports boat on the market with IPS. The Sunseeker Portofino 48 is a 2010 boat, really does offer everything you would need. Full beam midship's cabin, great accommodation, great cockpit, great looks. Join me as we look through some of the features on board this Portofino 48. So what's a 50-foot open Sunseeker all about? And in my opinion, it really is about the cockpit space, and that's why you buy a boat like this. You've got a great entertaining space. I've got this C-shaped seating section around here, and as you'll have seen that aerial photography that we did on a sunnier day than today, you will see that it really does carry the looks. This is a good fun boat, a boat to be out in the water on with family and friends, doing either long distance cruising or bay hopping. And I think when you are bay hopping, you want to have the ability to be able to sit at a cockpit, and a lovely table here which unfolds, and you could probably even put a director's chair that side there, so you could sit around the table and have lunch or drinks or breakfast, whatever you want to do. And I think that's what this Portofino 48 offers you in abundance. It offers you lots of fun. We've got the garage, we've got the platform, we've got this lovely cockpit space. Underneath for some of the seats here, we've got some storage. So underneath this central seat here, there's quite a large storage compartment, which is quite useful. This particular example is fitted with a fantastic audio system, which was upgraded 5 or 6 years ago. So we've got the Fusion speakers in here, and you can see the Fusion remotes as well. We've got overhead lighting. It's probably one of the first era of boats where they started to introduce some soft linings actually in the cockpit, and they really helped to make this feel not more premium, but slightly softer space that you're going to want to be in more. We've dropped off the back rear cover today for the video, but with that in, you are completely enclosed in here. So we have got a bit of breeze today and a bit of wind, but it's still quite comfortable to sit here, which I think is quite an important thing. As you can see, this boat's in very good condition. All the teak's been treated with Semco, and I also like these soft panel features, which is probably one of the first boats in the Sunseeker range back in 2010 that started to incorporate some sort of soft touches in the cockpit. If we now go slightly further forward up towards where the helm is, you've got this good sized port side co-pilot seat. Why is there this big step? Well, this is actually the head height in the master cabin, which if you keep watching, we'll take you to the master cabin in a minute. But this is a lovely place to be sat whilst you're underway. You can easily seat 2 people there, possibly 3. And what I quite like as well is when you're cruising with this slightly higher floor level, you can stand and look way above the windscreen, way above the roof. Electrically open roof, it's a carbon fibre finish with complete glazing on the top. So with the roof back, you can stand on there, you're looking out, and it's that wind in your hair, really great, exhilarating experience, which is, again, what this 50-foot open sports boat is all about. So you've got some storage up here in front of the co-pilot seat, just to store charts and data and bits and pieces in there, and the all-important cup holders, again, which we really like. Up at the helm itself, this boat was supplied new from Sunseeker in Poole, and it had at the time, they were really the leading nav kit you could buy at that time. And it's lasted really well. I mean, you've got the Raymarine E120 wide on here, which gives you touchscreen functionality. You can have AIS on there as well, and of course radar. You've also got autopilot, so you've got the ST70 multi-function screens there, and they were colour. And back in the day, they was quite unique to have colour because at the time it was still sort of monochrome finish. And then you've got your autopilot controller down here. As I mentioned a second ago, you've got a really good audio system on this boat. So she's got Fusion stereo speakers pretty much everywhere, and she's even got some additional speakers for the foredeck. Now, if we just wind the clock back a little bit, back to 2010, when IPS first started coming out, IPS really was designed for lots of reasons from Volvo Penta. There was increased efficiency, there was increased accommodation space. So by the engines being more efficient, they don't need to be as big, and as a result, the engine room can be smaller and your accommodation smaller. And that all kicks back to that midship's cabin that I keep mentioning. So this is an IPS boat. It's also got a joystick. So for anyone that's a bit nervous about driving a boat of this size, the joystick gives you that ability to maneuver this boat with confidence in tight spaces with very little experience. So this boat's got the joystick. This particular example's also got what they call the DPS function, which not all IPS boats have. So if you are looking at an IPS boat, it's really important to check whether it's got DPS. The DPS is Dynamic Positioning System. And Dynamic Positioning System allows the boat to stay on station. So for example, today it's a bit breezy, so we would go head into wind, push the IPS or DPS button, and the boat will then physically stay in exactly that place until, in theory, she ran out of fuel. So that's a really nice, useful feature to have. And in the real world, where that comes into play is, for example, if you're waiting for fuel or waiting for a bridge to open in Poole, or whatever a scenario is where you've just got a whole station, you can get away from using the sticks and you're onto the DPS and the joystick. So that's a really nice feature. The IPS is so efficient, there's actually no bow thruster on this boat. So there's no need to have a bow thruster because the IPS deals with both the bow and the stern. You've got your generic switchgear here, which is very Sunseeker. So we've got trim tab switches, overhead lighting, wind wipers, and then we've got the electric roof as well. So I've just put the bolster seat down, and once I've done that, I've all of a sudden changed my aspect through the screens completely. So I've got great visibility through that starboard screen window there. I've got good visibility forward. I can also just tilt that wheel down so it's more at ease in a driving position. One of the big tick boxes I would say of IPS, certainly boats of this size, and with this enclosed cockpit, you get a lot less resonance noise, and that's a really important thing to mention, I think. But she's been well maintained. Volvo Penta at Darthaven always looked after the engines, and she's due for probably her pre-season works in the next few weeks. Hasn't been done yet. The other thing I just wanted to show you in the cockpit was the wet bar. What Sunseeker would be complete without its own wet bar. So here we've got a nice setup. We've got an electric griddle plate here. We've got this huge cool box there, which is great for beers, champagne, wine, cokes. Hot and cold sink. You can see the electric griddle's hardly been used at all, and all this is in great condition. And then underneath the wet bar, we've got some storage, a large storage section there, and then we've also got an ice maker. So you've got a really nice setup here for entertaining guests, family, friends, whatever it might be. And she also has the underwater lights, which is, again, a really nice feature. Slightly further down here, you've got where the shore power comes in. So very Sunseeker. You've got a manual switchover for generator or shore power. At the moment you can see it's quite clearly in the shore section, and then I've also got all the remote battery isolator switches in here as well. So it's all to hand and your shore power feed. So very Sunseeker. So as we walk down onto the transom of the 48, easy steps down here, and then we've got this huge platform. So this is a hydraulic platform, great for swimming, great for access from the water onto the boat, and there is the option to actually put a water toy, maybe a sea bob on the platform. You wouldn't want to put anything too heavy on the platform because of the weight on the stern of the boat. This particular boat's got a jet ski, so it's got a Sea-Doo Spark in the garage. It's designed to take a Williams 325, probably squeeze in a Williams 345, the newer generation, but it's designed for a 325. So that's what goes into the garage. I keep mentioning the sound system, but you've got two rear-facing speakers here. I've got a swim ladder down here, so you've got a swim ladder which is in there, which is, again, if you don't want to use the platform, you've got the swim ladder. And then you've got also steps up on the port side. And I really like the transom of these boats astern, because you've got a nice symmetrical setup. You've got steps both port and starboard side. And it makes the boat feel very balanced, and it's a very, I think, handsome boat from the back. On the port side here, we've also got engine room access. And the hatch is actually here, and you think, well, actually, is that good? But it is good, because if you've got guests on the boat and you're doing your daily checks, you haven't got to ask everybody to move. It's actually really nice to have the access, I think, on that port side. If I just bring you back round now, so to open the garage is very straightforward. There's a switch here on the starboard side. It's great for storing the tender, or in this case a jet ski, but you can also store in there things like paddle boards, brushes, deflated ringos. So going back to the whole idea of what a 50-foot sports boat's all about, of having fun with family and friends and cruising, it's a really great place to store things in there. You can even put a pair of electric bikes in there quite comfortably. So it's a great space. We've jumped down into the engine room, and it's not an area we usually go into on our videos, I know that, but hopefully some of you might find it quite interesting. So we've come down that access on the port side I mentioned in here. So it's good access into here. And once you're in here, you've got your generator. So you've got a Kohler generator, I think we're on here. Yeah, it's Kohler, double checking. So we've got a generator here, which is on the port side. So you've got start and stop on the generator, but it also has a remote stop from the inside the boat. The engines themselves are Volvo Penta IPS 600. So it's actually a D6 engine, and it's rated to as the equivalent of 600 horsepower. So it's not 600 horsepower, it's the equivalent of 600 horsepower. You can see in here, my first impressions are it's clean, it's tidy. The bilge is very dry, which is nice to see. And what I love about the Sunseekers is just the way that this area is fitted out. So all the cabling is nicely done. We've got nicely arranged fuel filter set up. We've got the battery charger behind me whirring away. But it's just an area that it shows you the level of quality on board this boat. Now we've done the cockpit and exterior of the boat, the fun element, I want to show you the saloon. The 48 Portofino, when it was launched, really did change the mould for boats of this size. So you can see here, we're sat in the saloon. I've got lots of head height, I've got lots of room. I've got this great C-shaped section of seating here. I've got a rise and fall table here, which could make a double berth if you wanted it to. But it's a very comfortable place to be. I don't feel like on perhaps some of the older boats where you really are down below decks and closed. This is probably the only Portofino 48 I've ever seen with these larger hull windows. So you'll see the portholes behind me, but it let a lot more light in. And yes, it doesn't have the modern the very up-to-date banding on the hull, but it does have these really nice size stainless steel portholes. So down here I feel very comfortable. As I mentioned briefly earlier on, in my opinion it's got the best wood colour for this generation of boat, which is the American Walnut Satin. Still feels very Sunseeker, very classy, very nice, and good quality. And then in front of us we've got, I think, a 32-inch Samsung Smart TV with a 321 Bose surround sound. So it's a nice place to be. I could quite easily sit down here, either do some work, have a meal, or just relax and read a magazine. In the galley, we've got a large fridge in there. And then above here we've got this nice cashmere finish lacquer panels, so we've got glasses up here, and then just more storage. We've got a lift up there with a microwave which has still got the label on, it's probably never been used, and some good storage here with the fiddles on the shelves just to stop everything falling out. Lighting wise, we've got pretty good lighting overhead, which is all controlled from here, and you'll see UK sockets. So as I mentioned, this boat's always been a UK boat, so she's got UK 3-pin sockets throughout. You've got the wood floor here at the galley, which is just a nice practical feature as well, and the audio system, which I keep mentioning, is continued down here. So we've got another subwoofer down below and some more ceiling panel fusion speakers. Cabin wise, we've got 2 cabins. So what I want to do first is show you the forward cabin, which can either be as a twin or a double. So let's go and have a look at that now. So join me in the forward cabin on this Portofino. As I mentioned a second ago, it's a clever arrangement here. You've got a twin arrangement, which is what we've got now, or these beds slide together in a scissor action to make a double. So it gives you that bit of flexibility. So if you've got friends on board or family on board, you can change whether you want it as a twin or a double. It's a good sized cabin, we've got lots of storage in here. All around these top boxes is storage, so great for linens, that type of thing. As I mentioned earlier on in the video, the boat was originally built as a med boat. So all these spaces are aircon. So they've got aircon, which is of course reverse cycle. So as part of the aircon, we've got the heating function as well, and a function which people often forget is the dehumidification. So you can set it as a dehumidifier, and then it'll keep this area just dehumidified if you are on board, having showers, that type of thing. It's really easy to move the beds together, pulling each bed round, and then you've got a nice sized double bed there. So into the ensuite, you've got a practical layout here with the shower, pull round shower screen. So it's a really usable space. You've got a modern, up-to-date electric flush toilet, and then a countertop located sink with storage above. So it's a really nice ensuite for this size cabin. You could easily put guests in there, feel very comfortable with that ensuite. So we've got one last thing to show you on board this boat, which is the master cabin. And this really is what sets this boat apart with the IPS engines from other boats in its class that are not IPS. Of course, there are other boats at 48, 50 foot, I won't name them, but you'll know them, that have IPS that also offer a full beam master cabin. But when this was first launched into the market, it really did change everything. This really became what people expected of this size of boat. And this is really down to the IPS engines being that much smaller. As we saw the engine room, we can now push the engine room further back, and it gives more room here for that master cabin. So we've got the large hull windows, port and starboard, so you can see all that light coming in behind us. You'll see those from those initial aerial shots really are a feature of the hull band. Even though this has got the black or dark coloured hull, you can still see those windows. And we've got a lovely central bed, and it just makes this area so much more comfortable to stay on board for longer periods of time. We've got great storage everywhere you look. We've got drawers either side of the bed. We've got a vanity unit over there, nice lighting. And to me, this is what makes this such a great all-round boat. So in addition to the storage, the central island bed, we've also got an ensuite in this cabin. So the ensuite gives you a completely separate shower with a basin and another electric toilet. So you've got everything you need, 2 cabins, 2 ensuites. A very, very comfortable master cabin that you would expect probably on a much bigger boat. If you'd like more information on this particular Portofino 48, please do look at my details below. We'd love to talk to you more about this one and give you more information. As I said, my details are below. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, which is @SunseekerTom. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you again soon on our channel.